The Philippine consulate already coordinated with those people registered with them to come back in January 15. But then a few days before the flight, there was a notification from the AACM that the flight from Manila can only be allowed to be an empty flight. So those people who were supposed to get on that plane now couldn't board the flight, and they needed to wait until there is a notification or whatever way they can get into that pre-packed flight again.
So that included your parents.
Yes.
And so they were supposed to be back in January,
Yes, January 15.
and they had been stuck there since January until recently.
Yes, until May 28.
Okay, so between January and May, was there any other flight between Macau and Manila?
You mean commercial flights?
Yeah.
Or none that we know of. I think based on what I know, because I have a few friends who wanted to get back to Macau quite desperately, and we tried to look for flights, commercial flights, transiting to say Taiwan or Singapore and even Japan, because there was a flight recently.
And it was a no-go because of the border restrictions, obviously.
Yes, and complications of what kind of visa would be allowed to get in there, and there is a very high risk that you get stranded there and you don't know anybody there. So it was risky, but my friends wanted to try, not to mention the expense they needed to pay for that flight, but then it didn't push through.
Now, you mentioned that the AACM did release a statement saying that in January, if there was any flight coming from the Philippines to Macau, it had to be an empty flight,
Yeah.
meaning without passengers, right? But it changed because you did contact AACM again recently, and they said it was okay for your parents and a couple of other people to return back to Macau.
Correct.
But the problem was that the plane was arranged by the Philippine consulate, and there seemed to be some problems for your parents and those couple of other people who already got the green light from AACM, obviously the local authorities. Somehow they were not on the list to return in the flight. So how did it work? Can you explain more?
So we worked with the airline because we found out through AACM that it could be the airline or the agent of the operator who can send out the application to AACM so that they could then consider lifting or approving that flight can go. So as soon as I got the notification from the airline that there was this notification from AACM that Health Bureau approved, we were like, okay, where are we going to buy the tickets? And then we know where the tickets are bought, so we tried to contact that person in the agency and say, can we buy the tickets? We are so eager to buy the tickets now. And then that person I spoke to said that no, you need to be endorsed by the Philippine consulate because this is a flight organized by the Philippine consulate. So you need to get an endorsement list. And then that's where we had to struggle, like how do we go about that? Because initially we did go to Philippine consulate, but we were told to go to the Macau authorities.
Which already told you that there was a green light.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a ping pong, here, there, here, there.
Yeah. So then, okay, we wanted to solve the problem. So that's where we went to the Philippine consulate and asked for, can we get an endorsement?
Okay, so before we continue, let me just rewind a little bit. AACM told you that you had the green light, okay? But before that, how did you find out about there was a flight coming back to Macau from the Philippines?
Well, I just found out from
Some friends?
yeah, who
Okay.
worked for the airline.
Okay, so you just heard this
There's
rumors
this,
that
yeah,
there may be this flight
yes,
coming back, and
yes,
obviously it was a fresh air for you guys who
yeah,
had been waiting for your family to come
yeah,
back, right?
yeah. Okay, let's find this
Yeah,
out. Is this true? And then
yeah.
if we can get the family members on that flight.
So, in your knowledge, did the consulate ever arrange that kind of flight during the pandemic since last year,
Yeah,
before? And but there was no problem at all before.
yeah. The January flight, in fact, was organized by the Philippine consulate. They were the ones coordinating with the residents.
Yeah, I heard about that because they had all these flights to return to repatriate the Philippine nationals working here, right? Who were stranded in Macau. So let me just get this straight and correct, I'm hoping. So in January, that was the first Philippine consulate arranged flight that was warned by AACM not to bring anybody from the Philippines. Before that, it was okay.
As far as I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, now we're getting back to our current issue. So you bumped on your problem. You had the green light from the local authorities, yet you didn't get the green light from the Philippine consulate, and you went to them and seek help.
Yes, I really just.
When did
wanted
you start that?
on
You showed me your email. You contacted them via email first, and that's when they did their due diligence. They told you to contact AACM.
Yes, but that was before, way before we even had the application. The time we went to Philippine consulate was already when we received the approval, and because we just needed to solve the problem about
Which was in
endorsement.
which month?
This month,
This month,
23rd May.
23rd of
It
May.
was a Sunday. We went there. I actually printed a list with all the 21 people, which I submitted initially to the airline. And I just wanted to say, okay, how do we get the endorsement list? Because this is what the agency wanted, and before we can pay or buy our tickets. So that's all I wanted to get, like some sort of letter or whatever, something that I could show to the agency.
Of course, yeah. Obviously, I can understand the agency rejecting you because for them, it was really the consulate general owning the whole flight from the Philippines to Macau,
Yes.
and maybe vice versa as well. So I could understand that.
Yes.
So, but what was the reason? Did you ever find out the reason why it was so hard for you to get the approval from the consulate?
Well, I'm not sure about the workings of the government, whatever is needed or what the process is inside
You mean the Philippine government?
Philippine government and how they need to deal with the Macau government. But of course, in my simple mind as an ordinary citizen, that's how I thought that, okay, something that I could just show to the agency, which allows us to buy a ticket on this flight.
Yeah. And so finally, though, you managed to bring just a couple of them, actually, because you were representing a lot more people, right?
Yes.
How many people again did you represent?
21.
But only how many people came?
7.
7. So there's still a lot of them that are still stuck in the Philippines.
Yes. And actually, I even found out more when more of them which weren't on my list, who managed to find out that there were these 7 who came in, and then they were asking, how did you manage to do that? Because we were trying to get on a flight also back to Macau, but we didn't manage to find out the requirements.
And I'm going to get back to that because indeed, I have to admit, what you did was tremendously amazing. I mean, you weren't just helping your parents to come back, but you were helping, a couple of other people as well. But we'll get back to that. What I want to ask you now is that how did you feel? I know what I felt when I was stranded. I mean, nothing like your experience, because in my case, I just needed the approval from the health bureau at that time, and I got the green light. That's it. I booked my flight. The flight wouldn't say no, and it's got nothing to do with like any other approval, you know. So it was very simple in my case. Nevertheless, it was terrible. The wait and everything. I got stuck for 4.5 months. My sister got stuck earlier before me, around 6 months. You know, so it was terrible. As I said, it sounds Bali, but it was definitely not paradise. Okay, it was paradise for the first 2 weeks because we were on holiday. The moment we heard that the borders closed down, and we weren't even allowed to go on the street, and you know, in fact, we even still try to go to the cafe, because trust me, 4.5 months being on lockdown, we just, you know, kind of let's go to the cafe really quickly and then come back, you know, even though it was kind of against the rules, you know. But it was terrible. But that was my part. I asked my oldest brother who was in Macau, you know, how he felt, you know, and it was terrible as well, apparently, for him, because you know, he kept on wondering what happened to his siblings, me and my family, my sister with her kids, you know. So I want to know now from your side, because like I said, in my case, we were just waiting for the approval from not Macau government, actually from Hong Kong government, because Macau government, I remember they emailed me saying that you know, keep on getting all the updates. The moment Hong Kong gives a green light for transit, then we will tell you and you book your ticket right away, you know. So very simple. But in your case, I don't know, reading the news, you know, hearing the news on TDM as well, you know, even from a couple of people, it's just so complicated. So I just want to know how you felt, you know, during, you know, that particular journey in the whole process of applying and waiting. You know, how did you feel about that?
Well, I think I just try to do as much as I can. When people say, okay, you go to this department, I go, and then I wait what they say, and then I end up being told, okay, you go to this department, and then they're conflicting, you know, and then that's where I need to understand this much better, until I was able to go to so many departments, and then they're kind of pointing, no, this is where you. Then I found that AACM clue that they just needed to have an application for them to consider. How I felt like, oh my God, I really needed to do as much as to do the best I can for the people who are desperate to get here.
Yet though, when you applied, you still had problems with the approval.
Actually, the approval came. It was okay.
No, I mean the approval from the consulate.
Oh, that.
Yeah, I mean the AACM, it was very simple, but
Yeah.
I mean your journey didn't end when you received the approval from AACM.
Yeah.
So that journey still went on even until the last minute. I still remember I was in
Yeah.
touch with you.
Yeah.
You know, you were still at the consulate waiting for that green light, you
Yeah.
know. And then as soon as you got the green light, I remember you telling me that you quickly went to buy the tickets, you know. So but yeah, including that part.
As far as I'm concerned,
Were you frustrated at all?
quite, but you know, whatever I was told, like you needed to check this, I checked every little detail that I was told to check, and as far as I know, that was done.
Yeah.
And anything that I needed to do, I don't think there was anything that I can do anymore. Up to the last minute, I think I still tried a few things, and I really don't know what happened in the end that we got to go.
So you were just trying to do your best and see how it would go, right? Well, I mean, you did a great job, you know, and I can understand also in a way that, you know, probably, I'm not sure. I really am not sure the reason behind why it took days to approve. I mean, the consulate to approve, but obviously there's, you know, like you said, maybe there's some protocols from the Philippines. So I don't know, like, I mean, it's obviously, it's a flight arranged by them, and so they they had their purpose in bringing this flight to Macau and bringing it back to the Philippines as well. So I'm sure they weighed every single things that they need to weigh in, meaning respecting the local authorities and as well as thinking about the citizens as well. Nevertheless, though, I have to admit what you had to go through and the other people waiting for their relatives to come back, and that brings us back to what I wanted to ask you. That was a good thing for you to help these people to come back, but like I said, there's only a few people that are back here. My question is, will you be continuing in fighting for this cause for them?
Yeah, I still have a family member on the list.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the second round, yes, I will still try to find out what's the updated process.
Any news at all? Any hint at all that that'd be the next flight as to when maybe?
No, not yet. Yeah.
But you'll keep yourself updated.
Yeah.
And if your other family member makes it here and turns out there's going to be still a lot of people, do you see yourself in the future still, helping out these people to come back to Macau?
Well, as long as I have the time and the energy, yes, I can.
Well, that'd be great because I know how it is. I know that you're from the Philippines originally. I'm from Indonesia originally, but we all made Macau our home now. It's our adopted home. So we love Indonesia. We love the Philippines. Actually, I'm half Filipino. I just don't speak the language that well. I do eat adobo actually. My dad's Bicolano, but I grew up in Indonesia. But as I said, we call Macau home, and in this pandemic, I think it feels great to be back in our adopted home. So I really appreciate actually, even I'm not a Filipino citizen, but being half Filipino, I really appreciate what you do with these people, fighting for them to be able to return back to Macau. I've got my last question for you. Do you have any suggestion at all as to how you expect these kind of situations in the future would be handled by relevant departments maybe? I mean, do you have any wish at all that it could be made simpler or whatever? I don't know, because I sure do. I would have a lot of maybe not requests or whatever, just a wish, like I wish that it could be way simpler than it was when I came back to Macau.
Well, in January when the previous consul was here, it was working perfectly fine, and I still don't understand, and we asked the question, what has changed? I hope that we could understand it better. I didn't need to ask for anything different from how it was done before. So I don't know what else to suggest other than, can we go back to the way it was before?
That's true.
Yeah.
So they don't have a consul general at the moment.
Yeah, actually,
they have acting consul general.
They have the acting consul general, which who I have not met, because the one we were talking to was not the acting consul general. It was the other consul general. Actually, yeah. So, but in this flight, by the way, because I did see the list of the people coming to Macau, the time that we were trying to pay for the tickets, like on a Wednesday, that we do have the incoming consul general already.
In the flight.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There was this I think 10 or so, 15 was the one that we saw on the list.
Yeah.
And that
they haven't announced it.
Well, I saw it on the list, so
I
knew.
Okay.
And also because
that's great news, by the way. I'm gonna find out.
Friends here who were waiting for the people to arrive on the flight.
Yeah.
We knew we were waiting for 7 people. There were more than that, so just to say that we knew there were other people.
Okay. Well, then hopefully with the new consul general, hopefully things will get better as well. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping that all your fights in the future will be successful as well, and your family member and the rest of these people could make it back to Macau. Now, before we say goodbye, I just want to say thank you to you for your time, and Rick also thank you. But I'm gonna ask if there's anything that you want to say. Either one of you, it doesn't matter, or both of you, it doesn't matter. Is there anything that you want to say before we say goodbye to everybody?
We're very grateful that you've allowed us this platform. We love your show. We love your voice. And
Thank you.
very much for having us.
Thank you so much. And how about you?
Thank you for giving us the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really nice meeting you and sharing what you have gone through also. It's such a consolation that it's not just us, but many people in this pandemic.
I'm very sure a lot of people in Macau, including locals as well, look forward for these people who have called Macau their adopted home to be able to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add one more. I'm sorry. Do you want to say maybe a couple of things really short for the people who are in your place also, who are still waiting for their family members to return, not just from the Philippines, but a couple of other people who have been stranded overseas as well? Words of encouragement, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I did post this and I've been telling this to friends, and because that's why I also got the other people on the list other than my parents, because I thought it will be the same effort. Why not just add everybody in just one effort? So I've been telling people I know, in case they have friends or family members that who want to come back, then they could also contact me, and then I will try to find out the process, which I'm going to do anyway. So I'll add them all on my list.
Oh, that's really good of you. Well, thank you so much once again, Rick, and also Annie. So I'm hoping I'll be able to see you guys again next time in this radio show, maybe on a different topic, not about this pandemic. And anyway, your family members, your parents, they're still being quarantined, right?
Correct.
Well, I'm sure you guys are looking forward to be reunited soon.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let me just get back to my news. And for my final news tonight, mainland China has reportedly approved COVID-19 vaccines for children as young as 3. Hong Kong English Language Daily, South China Morning Post reported yesterday other countries have authorized vaccinations for under 18s, but apparently nowhere else has given a green light for their use on such a young age group. Well, that is all for tonight's KT News Macau. Returning to our music tonight, still with our Aussie specials. This is Kaylin Elias Disco Montego with Magic. You always sometimes make a mistake. When everything was perfect already, I just said a wrong band's name. Anyway, thank you so much.